It's the Social Millennial Podcast. You know what it is. NYC all day. New York Yankees, we making it to the World Series. We gonna win that joint. A team was busted up, broken down, beaten down in the first half of the season. B and C team carried the team all the way out here. We in here. Big ups to the New York Yankees. We gonna make it all the way. So if y'all didn't know, Social Millennial Podcast, at Social Millennial Pod on Instagram and Facebook. So if y'all want to hit us up, like, follow, subscribe, share, y'all know what to do. Let us know what y'all feel about the subject matter that we're going to talk about, that we could talk about on future podcasts. We try to drop every single week. Sometimes we take some breaks. Sometimes we got stuff to do, but we out here. If you want to reach out to us, talk to us, we've got a Gmail account. So the Social Millennial Podcast at gmail.com. We're on YouTube. Not in video format, still audio format, but if you like listening to YouTube videos, I guess, listening to them, you can catch us there. Subscribe, like, comment, let us know how much you love the podcast. And if you don't love it, let us know too. We want to see how we can make this content better, how we could better serve you guys, how we could better give y'all what y'all want. You feel me? As we proceed to give you what you need, you know? So we in here. I'm about to hit a very sensitive topic. I'm going to try my best not to rant too hard, because I believe that I can reserve an entire hour-long podcast just for a rant about this one person. And it's not hate. It's just like, you know how you kind of walk around like, what? Like, why? It's just that kind of sentiment. AOC. I've got a lot to say about AOC on any given day. AOC is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a representative in government and Congress for some districts in the Bronx and Queens. I don't know. It's weird how that works, but it's just, aside from the controversy surrounding her being elected and the other and extra controversies about where she lives and whether she's really, a Bronxite, whether she's really down. Aside from that, I'm not going to rant about that. I can rant about that all day, all night, all day. You feel me? There's so much to pick apart. What I'm going to talk about today, or at least right now, is I really don't like how AOC makes us look bad. I really don't like how we've got a Latina in government as a representative, young, vibrant, and just making us look so bad. Not necessarily making Bronxites look bad or New Yorkers look bad, but just out here making us young people look bad. Us millennials look bad. Like, what? Why does everything with AOC have to be some kind of weird contradiction? And then instead of taking on the responsibility of the weird stuff that she be saying that sometimes does not make any sense, the weird misguided responses that she makes regarding commentary on her actions that didn't make sense. She deflects and but what about this, and pointing other kind of fingers in other ways and just not taking that responsibility. That little mini baby scandal, because it's really whatever. Justice Democrats and her whole team or whatever, her office, they really lean heavily on social media and just any little media thing gets drummed up. But that time that she was talking about, with the Green New Deal and being reducing our carbon footprint, being fuel efficient and things like that, relying on electric cars and things like that, or what have you. And then she was her van, her sort of truck convoy is the only OD gas guzzling truck. Just things like that, and how she didn't take any responsibility for that. She didn't, just kind of have a self-aware moment and finally be relatable. Like, take a moment to be relatable and go, you know what? Listen, I say these certain things and I'm striving to be better and to stick by what I'm saying and to practice what I preach. That was an unfortunate moment that day that I was driving a gas guzzler and causing crazy pollution. I need to get right. I need to get better. Instead of something like that, instead of a cool, relatable moment, instead of, show us that you're a regular person and not some weirdo, some weirdie from wherever you're from, upstate. She's got to deflect. She's got to, say that she could be down for the cause, but still, act trash. And when I say act trash, I mean, in this case, that she's not practicing what she's preaching. She's saying a certain thing and then putting out some other kind of image. So right now, when I say acting trash, that's what I mean. And so now recent, how recent? This was what? This is today? I saw this in the Post. I saw this in I've noticed it in a few different places, but AOC getting getting her hair done, shelling out more than $250 to get her hair done, and there's a government subsidized sort of salon / barbershop for Congress people and senators in on Capitol Hill. So that's interesting, and it's the same kind of thing where she just dropped that new packet of bills that she's trying to get passed, where she did that once again weird kind of conference-y video. Instead of making a speech and calling a press conference, she does this weird video with a mic that's not even on and plugged in. It's so strange. I don't understand. What's the deal? What is the deal? Is this some kind of weird, low-key troll or something? That she's young but out of touch? Like, it's just weird. Because usually these sort of senators, government officials, they've got whole teams that are behind them, that are working behind the scenes to make sure that they look right. Writers and image consultants and things like that. PR people, publicists. It's so strange when I see these weirdy things happening. And case in point, AOC just did this video about this bill that's like 5 different packets in one to accomplish a whole bunch of stuff having to do with income inequality and so on. And here she is now spending mad guap when she didn't necessarily need to, kind of just flexing, Now, I'm saying what I'm saying with a grain of salt. It's not really flexing. It costs a lot of money for women's hair to get done, like just off the rip. And if she's in DC and she maintains an apartment or a condo or something in this crazy fancy high-rise hotel place, I'm going to think her tastes, her proclivities are going to be on the expensive side. I mean, I'm saying she's not going to the beauty supply store and trying to wash her hair with VO5. She's going to the white lady salons or whatever. She's going to the salons where they use Redken and all those places and all those things. That's what I would assume, considering her taste in places that she maintains in DC. So it's not really a super big deal, really. Like, realistically, real world wise, it's not a super big deal. And if her hair was raggedy, it would be another cause for certain people and certain individuals in the media to bash her. That being the case, that being true, it is also true that it is not a good look at the same time that you're out and about as a popular public figure. I like that alliteration. As a popular public pop culture figure, and pop culture figure by design, just as Democrats were looking for a specific kind of person when they did their casting call for a representative that they wanted to put up to run, and it ended up being AOC, who they chose in the casting call, the bartender. It's just not a good look. It's just not. When you dropped this bill that you're talking about and trying to even things out, it's weird that you flexed, that your whole part of your power, part of your sort of pop culture-iness is the ubiquity that you try to reach for on social media, and try to sort of weaponize social media and your followers, and not necessarily against people directly, weaponize them directly, but I mean, like, you use that as your clout in the halls of Congress, when, I mean, it doesn't even really count, the clout, but they do it, and she does it, and that's part of her power. That you are such a public figure, why would you be going to not necessarily a regular place, because $250, that's a lot of money. But why would you show up in a place, you know? Why wouldn't you have a private hairdresser come to your condo or your apartment or your high rise and do your hair? Why wouldn't you go to a private place that does celebrities? Why wouldn't you use the government subsidized salon? Like, everything is set up for you. You make enough money, clearly, with where you live in DC, to do a private person. Why would you go out like that? It's interesting. It makes me think about, who is her team? Who is she running this by? Her movements, because she makes such weird moves, unself-aware. Like, whoever her team person is, her PR person or whatever, they thought this was going to be good PR or something. I wonder if she went rogue, like she just decided she wanted to go and do something and just went and did it. Because this is strange to me. It's weird. It's just weird. It's off. It's like, what? Like, and as I said earlier, the sentiment is like, what? Like, scratch your head. And AOC seems to have so many of those moments, and I don't like it. I want to believe in her. I want to, respect her super highly. But so much that she says and so much that she does is just really weird. It's very head scratchy. It seems disconnected from reality, from people, like how people are. So yeah, but on a better note, her and a few other Republicans, I mean, we had a bipartisan letter that was sent to the NBA. Was it sent to the NBA or was it sent to China? I'm bugging. But this is the next topic. A nice, kind of cool story that also has to do with AOC. Sort of a glimmer of light in the bleak hellscape of American government, where lawmakers sort of crafted this letter, this statement, this bipartisan statement, to the NBA, just sort of letting the NBA know that they should be fit, how to go about dealing with the problems that they're having with China. So they're having some issues with China right now. The Houston Rockets are boycotting NBA content because of the comments of what is this? What's the statement here? Because the comments of the Rockets general manager, Daryl Morey, supporting the Hong Kong protesters and their conflict with the Chinese government. I feel like that story is not getting enough play. And I don't quite understand why realistically. I can draw up a bunch of conspiracy theories. I feel like maybe I should do a podcast with just conspiracy theories, but I digress. Yeah, they crafted this letter sort of giving some recommendations for what the NBA can do, and I guess trying to appeal to the NBA's conscience in getting them to not censor themselves. Because right now, China's sort of boycotting NBA content. So what, that's like 1.4 billion eyes that the NBA lost in China temporarily. And the government is urging the NBA not to capitulate. That we should not allow the laws and the government of another country restrict our freedoms as Americans. That it's un-American to start censoring ourselves because a certain territory that showcases our content decides that they don't want to showcase it because they don't approve of an individual's of an American individual's political position. That should not be the case, and the NBA hopefully should see that pursuing money in this case should not trump American ideals and the American way, for lack of a better term. And I think it's pretty cool because at the end of the day, CNN, Fox News, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, etc., everybody's fighting because they believe that their way is the right way. And the fighting gets personal and people have animosities. And I don't think it's necessarily all or often individual to individual in Senate, House of Representatives, things like that, Congress, House of Representatives. But that kind of us versus them mentality really has seeped into American culture. So those who are not politicians, there are people out there who've got serious animosity. Republicans who have animosity against Democrats, Democrats who have animosity against Republicans, and things like that, etc. It's great to see that at least these politicians, some of them, the ones that were involved, that signs their name on this statement, that there are still foundational elements that are American, that all parties and all sides can uphold and can sort of run to as the guidepost, the flagpole. You know, when we get too far off the beaten path, there's still a North Star that guides what America is, what America stands for. Especially in a time like this where, at least from my perspective, a lot of what makes the freedoms of America and a lot of what makes America great, for lack of a better term, is getting thrown out with the bathwater. Is getting thrown out with what doesn't make America great. There's just people are lopping it off and going, well, why? Well, when was America great? How was America great? And it's not necessarily that America being an awesome country has to do, or America, quote unquote, for lack of a better term in this second, America being great necessarily has to do with everyone feeling happy and feeling as though they've been treated fairly and being treated fairly 100% of the time, that there was not a moment like that. So when people go, well, when was it great? You know, because for us people of color, it has not been great. Like, I want to say it has always not been great, because even when slavery was abolished, it was an uphill climb. People of color, black people, were set up to stay at a certain level, even after they were freed. So it's not about people's feeling good. It's not about everyone prospering at the same time, at the same levels. It's a foundational element, a soul, the soul of what America means, the soul of what the freedoms of America are. That's America being great. And so this is pretty cool. This kind of, even though it might just, it might get one little article here and on the sports page and that's it. But it's something worth noticing, something worth noting, something worth clapping about, something worth praise reporting about, that there's still a foundational element that all these politicians or the ones that were involved can run to and find agreement, find commonality. Because they're representing and trying to govern the same country. So that's pretty cool. So, AOC being a weirdie, but then also AOC being cool because she put her name on this thing too. That's pretty cool. And they're making a thing that Ted Cruz put his name on it too. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Really awesome. Really awesome. Because there's got to be a limit. It's got to be a limit to the censorship. There's got to be a limit to letting foreign governments affect what American companies do. And ultimately it's up to American companies and whether they want to pursue money or whether their goals in pursuing money are the priority and their employees are secondary. It's up to that company kind of. But still, it's great. This is a cool little praise report, and so I'm glad that I had something really cool that happened in the government that I could highlight because it's pretty fire, and because we've got a lot of rough stuff going on, a lot of polarizing things, a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation on both sides. CNN, Fox News. Republican, Democrat, a lot of it's all over the place, head spinning, and you gotta sometimes depend and lean on alternative media. We're in the era where often, at least I'm finding from my perspective and in my experience, I'm finding more and more that I have to rely on alternative media more than mainstream media. Yeah. I'm finding that I'm getting a more complete analysis of the facts from alternative media than I am from mainstream media. And I kind of understand that everything is going to be colored in news reporting. To me, it's just about how colored. It should not, a news report should not be telling me how to feel about something. It should be giving me the facts. Reporting to me what's going on. Tell me what's happening. Bring it to my doorstep. Bring it to me so that I know what's going on in the world. I don't need anyone to tell me how to feel. I will feel how I feel based on the facts that you tell me. And not false facts, not finagled facts. Just straight up what's going on. So I'm finding alternative media sources are starting to become the way to go. And now there are a lot of crazy alternative media sources out there, so I have to sift even with that. But yeah, it's just getting information now. It's got to be from all kinds of places, mainstream, not mainstream, just all over. You got to look into things yourself too sometimes. Look into the records, look into the different angles of the story to really understand what's happening, because stuff really feels shady. Fox News feels shady. CNN feels shady. New York Times feels shady. Washington Post feels shady. The New York Post feels shady. It's all over the place. There's agendas everywhere. I don't know why I went off on that rant. But, right. Because a lot of rough stuff is going on with the government. What I found is interesting, and I guess this is turning into an American government podcast today. Notice how I have my nightly news with Marcus Peña voice going. And I'm not, fam, this joint is crazy. I don't know why these dudes is acting like that. I'm not, as I get into, it's weird. I get into politics and I start speaking like I'm going to address a town hall. It's probably not that. I probably only sound like that to myself. But, yeah, crazy stuff going on. I mean, usually crazy stuff going on with the government. Not even just from Trump, just in general. In general, Pelosi, just in general, there's always weird things happening nowadays. And part of it is because Trump exists as the president. But then a part of it is because people are being weirdies for their own reasons. Politicians are drumming up controversy for their own political agenda, for some other political plan. Once again, maybe I should start a conspiracy theory channel. I tell you, I have a lot of conspiracy theories. I like to connect a lot of dots. You feel me? I'm that guy. I will connect the dots. Give me that connected dot book. I'll connect them dots, baby. I'll make them shapes. I don't know what it looks like before I do it, so I want to do it so I know what it look like. Yeah, so I like connecting dots. I like Sherlocking things. So I look for all of the different angles and all of the different, you've seen the movies, you've seen the shows, the newspaper clippings on the bulletin board and the lines of thread. I'm that guy. But yeah, so much wildness going on. I want to highlight in this moment Syria and what's happening with the American pullout. The American pullout. It's so interesting. Where I fall on this is who knows what's going to happen. On one side, it makes sense to keep troops there. Also because, American imperialism, we keep troops everywhere because we like to control things and we like to make sure that it's under control. And we like to make sure that if we need to move assets around, did you find the asset? Do we have an asset in Afghanistan? Do we have an asset? Yeah, I really feel like Jason Bourne. And I just got in Jason Bourne mode right now. When I say asset, I always think about that. They say that so many times in the Jason Bourne trilogy films or quadrilogy, because there's a fourth one that came out. I have to see that. I have to see it. I read the reviews. I never got around to seeing the movie. I have to see that movie. But yeah, we're used to seeing America keep military assets all over the world, just to kind of watch everybody. And if we got to create a strike, we can strike. So it's interesting. On one side, I understand why, on the surface, politicians would be like, this is crazy. Why would you do that? DOJ would be like, why would you do that? Why would you pull them out? Doesn't make any sense. Then on the other side, I can see, let's stop fighting in these nonsense tribal wars. Pull out of there because we don't belong there, and let people duke it out. Let them solve their problem. And if they become some dictatorship, let it be what it is. And if we got to come back in and topple that joint, we gonna topple that joint because we're America. Gang. Nobody likes to pull up when it's time to give people them hands. You feel me? Because when America shows up, the hands is going down. And nobody wants it. Nobody wants that joint. Nobody wants the hands to start flying. Nobody wants to get these American pancakes and maple syrup, corn flakes, white bread, Wonder Bread, New York style pizza, Chicago deep dish baseball, pastime hands. None of these countries want these hands. So if we pull out and they decide that they want to duke it out, and when they duke it out, dictatorships start happening, atrocities start happening, America will pull up and do what we got to do. And that's what Trump is. I mean, let me say this. On the surface, I'll always give the disclaimer on the surface. What we've been told, the things that are in the media, what the quotes are, that's the sentiment. Like let's stop. Let's stop fighting. Stop fighting dumb wars that don't make any sense. They don't. And in my opinion, who knows? But I kind of lean a little bit towards that who knows, whether it's good or bad. Who knows what's going to happen? Which it's already being reported that the Kurds and Turkey and all that, they're starting to fight again, and Turkey starting to OD for no reason when Heads is not even trying to fight them. They just are starting to bum rush stuff. We've got some accounts from some soldiers that are like, yo, I feel ashamed right now. Who knows? That's my thing. My thing is, who knows if it's good or bad, or will ultimately prove itself to be good or bad. And then also at the same time, I like, if I had to pick a side, gun to my head, I would err on the side of fam. Let's just stop. Let's stop American imperialism in that way. Let's just stop soft imperialism. Station our troops all over the world in foreign countries, so we could exert some kind of pressure there because we got troops there. Like, just stop. Just get them out of there. There's no reason for them to be in there. If we did in fact whoop out, if we did in fact mollywop ISIS, if that is in fact true in the region, then why are we there? American troops have been training Kurdish soldiers, training Turkish soldiers. They're trained up. Let them do what they got to do. Let them solve their problems. Let them do their thing. Let them evolve. Let them duke it out. And may the best man win. And if the best man ends up trying to be a threat, then we're going to pull up. And then they don't want us to pull up. They saw what we did. If we did eradicate ISIS, they saw what we did when we eradicated ISIS and how quickly that happened. That caliphate got dissolved. They don't want this smoke. I'll just say that. I don't know. There aren't many countries in this world that want that smoke. So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. Let's pull the troops out. Yay. And I know some of the reaction too, from the DOJ and other officials could be just from learning from past experience where Obama wanted to pull troops out. And there we go. Where we get involved, create a status quo and then leave, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Because there's a power vacuum, like when we took out Saddam Hussein, quote unquote, when we overthrew Gaddafi, leaves that vacuum. Now there's slavery in Libya and all kinds of wild stuff going on. So maybe it's an appeal because of past transgressions that DOJ is like, it's a bad idea, or maybe not. But it's interesting, and who knows what the ramifications of this are going to be down the line. What will ultimately be the solution for that region? After they duke it out, what that will look like. Who knows? It's just some interesting stuff to think about. I'm not going to do my conspiracy theory. Maybe I should do. This is the third or fourth time I've talked about doing a conspiracy theory channel. Maybe I should do it. I don't know. Maybe y'all can let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the DMs. Let me know in the emails. Maybe we should also do a social millennial conspiracy theory podcast. That's a long name, but I'll figure it out. We'll sort it out. We'll put it in the little in the name clicking machine and see what that thing turns out. And so, in entertainment news, not super big entertainment news, but just something that kind of hit me a little bit that I saw that was super, to me, was laughable. T.I., T.I. is doing his thing right now promoting Rhythm and Flow, new Netflix show, hip hop competition, which is pretty cool. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few. He's doing his rounds, promoting the show, the press tour, things like that, because it just dropped on Netflix. And he talked about Iggy Azalea. He really did. Yeah. Because he was saying that he's still actively looking for another female rapper who can undo the blunder of Iggy Azalea. It's very interesting. He said, quote, "That is the tarnish of my legacy as far as executive is concerned," considering him being a music executive for Grand Hustle, the record label. He said, quote, "To me, this is like when Michael Jordan went to play baseball." And Iggy Azalea had to respond and then delete it. So I think that's another thing with the team, where you got your PR team, or you got some people around you, or maybe you don't, and you put out the tweet, the incendiary tweet, you drop the little bomb, drop the little piece of C4 that could destroy your career or build it up, and you send out that C4, and then you got to delete it. Your publicist goes, no. Your social media manager goes, no. Your PR person goes, no. Your best friend sitting next to you, why didn't you tell me you were going to say that? Because that was not smart to say. That makes you look bad. Iggy Azalea, in a deleted text, goes, she goes, what's the quote? What's the original tweet? Oh, here we go. Quote, "Imagine thinking I was his biggest blunder. LMAO. Gotta be 20 O's. Tip, period. Sweetie, period. We have a whole list for you." So I don't understand. I don't understand why she had to clap back. And this is why I don't understand why she felt like she had to clap back. Because in a follow-up tweet, she added, quote, "The tea I could spill on what on what BS this is, but at the end of the day, I think people can see it's clear he's salty. He's a huge misogynist and has never been able to have a conversation with any woman in which he doesn't speak like a fortune cookie." Right? We're going to keep going because it ain't done. And I'm going to let you know, well, after I finish reading these quotes, I'm going to let you know why this is laughable to me. And so she, in 2012, this is an interview in 2012, she goes, quote, and this is when she's still with Grand Hustle and things are still going pretty well. "At the time, I felt like I was just floating around in a big ocean." She's speaking on her being signed to Interscope before Grand Hustle. Because she did have a project out. I think it was a whole project, or she had like 2 or 3 singles out before she got picked up by Grand Hustle. And let me tell you, her style on those tracks, those early tracks, I thought that was fire. So when I saw, this is now a personal thing, my experience with Iggy Azalea, when I first got put on to Iggy Azalea, I saw her and heard some of her stuff, like her TIs, her Grand Hustle stuff, right? I was like, okay. Then I stumbled upon her previous stuff, her previous material before Grand Hustle, and I was like, I like this. It had a party feel to it. Some of her tracks, her cadence was better, or I should say her cadence was more her, like more original or more just who she is. Her presence, her voice, her accent, it was more it was more like her. It was not so characterized into. It didn't have such a heavy Southern ATL hip hop character to it. And I thought that music was fire. It was. And I mean, her stuff that she did with Grand Hustle and during her time with T.I. was cool too. I didn't go to her for bars. I know that, but it was cool to have her in the musical landscape, in the hip hop landscape. Despite how polarizing her presence is or was, was, because she's still here. That was my sort of intro to her. I listened a little bit to her Grand Hustle stuff, but then really stumbled upon her previous stuff, and I liked Iggy Azalea because of her previous stuff, because that potential still exists for that, and that's pretty cool. And so she says, this is in 2012. At the time, I felt like I was just floating around in a big ocean. I got picked up and caught by a label, which was Interscope, and it was very impersonal. She goes on to say, quote, "It felt like I was a product. When I met him, T.I., and everybody else over at Grand Hustle, it felt like I was with real people again. He cared about me as a friend, not just as a check. I want to know that when I make mistakes, I have a label and a family who won't desert me." You feel me? And then and I didn't realize this, I didn't know this at the time, I was definitely a witness and was following when Iggy Azalea sort of screwed the pooch, when she kind of jacked up her position and her career, going back and forth with Azalea Banks, which I wish Iggy Azalea didn't do. And I was there for when Q-Tip decided to school Iggy Azalea a little bit on hip hop culture. But I did not know what T.I.'s words were in terms of interviews regarding sort of parting ways with Iggy Azalea. And 2015, he said he was no longer interested in working with Iggy Azalea. And he said their relationship, quote, took a bit of a rest stop. And I thought in my mind, I think right now, because I had not known that's how sort of that's how he articulated it. That was very nice of him. He wasn't out there trying to spill tea on Iggy Azalea. He wasn't out there trying to tarnish her name or nothing like that. There was still some honor there, some code there to do right by Iggy Azalea, even though, she made her missteps and she kind of jacked stuff up, and there are consequences for that, and she's feeling them now and had felt them then. He could have put her on blast. He could have roasted her. He could have flamed her. And he didn't do it. He's just like, nah, relationship is just taking a rest stop, bro. We're going to give it a rest. He played it very safe, very PR safe. And I thought I think now that's a pretty, it's a pretty honorable thing to do. That Iggy Azalea has to come out and try to talk about spilling tea and call him a misogynist after talking so elatively, I don't even think that's a word, about T.I. That's why this is laughable to me. Laughable. I laugh. Yes, Iggy Azalea's material now is cool too. It's bumping, I'm still not really liking that she does her accent into a really hard ATL accent. Like that's where she comes from. Like it's so hard. It's like, it sounds like a caricature. It sounds like a white person trying to sound like an ATL rapper. It doesn't sound like I was inspired by Southern hip hop. It doesn't sound like that, which I feel like if it was the case that she was super inspired by Southern hip hop, like her voice and her delivery would be a blend of her language and her country and her accent and the ATL accent. You feel me? But it's not. It's just straight up ATL. She's trying to be something that she's not, and that was part of the backlash with Iggy Azalea. She doesn't have bars. I don't go to her for bars. I'm not necessarily hating on Iggy Azalea. This is just a bit of news that's laughable. Like, come on. Come on, Iggy. Get it together. Get it together. Grow up. Grow a pair. It was true. It's laughable too because it's true. T.I. was getting clowned because of you. You were acting a fool on Twitter. Them Twitter fingers was going, and even now is going. Clearly, you didn't learn your lesson, Iggy. And his credibility was plummeting because of you. Because he was defending you and endorsing you and letting you in to the areas, opening the gates for you. And you screwed up. Your presence was controversial because you're an Australian, heavily inspired by hip hop. And then an Australian that sounds like she's trying too hard to sound like a hard ATL rapper. And you're not. Like, hip hop is for everybody. Hip hop is for all cultures. Don't get me wrong. Music is for all cultures. The hip hop experience translates into all cultures. It does. It does. It's a sentiment. It's a lifestyle. It's a mood, right? It's a vibe. However, if you're coming out and trying to sell a product and you're not being true to yourself, or your audience knows and feels like you're not being true, the hip hop community feels like you're fake, like this is a gimmick, that's a problem. And so the dude that vouched for you, he's gonna look bad. People, we gonna look at him like, bro, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, why did you? This is you? Whose man's is this? They're gonna look at you sideways, and they were looking at T.I. sideways. The streets were looking at T.I. sideways. I thought it didn't make any sense. I thought, like, T.I., what the heck, bro? Like, why are you? I get why you're trying to defend her, but you can't defend this, bro. And he tried for a little while after that whole Q-Tip thing and Azalea Banks, and he was like, why am I doing this? To save face? She already jacked her whole career up already. Nobody wants to listen to her. Nobody wants to think. There were so many memes out about Iggy Azalea. There was that weird joint that she did. I don't know. I still to this day don't know why she rapped that gibberish on that microphone. And it became such a crazy meme back then. I don't even know what that was about. I got to look that up and see. Was she on drugs? Did she think she was saying anything? Because she was just gibberishing, which was so interesting. So you really did bring T.I. stock down for a little while, and he had to get it back. And then along came the reality shows and all the controversies with T.I. and Tiny and Mayweather and all kinds of stuff, and that kind of brought him back into the forefront. But Iggy, learn your lesson, girl. Do your thing. Make your paper. Stay in your bag, and don't come out your bag for nobody. Don't come out your bag, especially when it's true. You just look like a fool. You look foolish. When T.I. goes, it feels to me like it was like when Michael Jordan went to play baseball. It's true. It's true. It did tarnish T.I. You tarnished that. You messed that up. You jacked that up. So don't then try to point fingers, even if it's true. Even if he is a misogynist behind the scenes, quote unquote, allegedly. Even if you can't talk to women without sounding like a fortune cookie, allegedly. You don't look good trying to fire back at somebody who's not necessarily firing at you. He was simply stating facts like, yo, I need to get right. Basically, that's what he's saying. I need to get right. I really like female hip hop artists, and I want to endorse another female hip hop artist. Like, I would like to build that up and to prop somebody up, and T.I. should be free to do that with whoever he pleases as a gatekeeper in the industry. So Iggy, just chill. Learn from your mistakes, your past mistakes. Learn from them, grow, and stay in your bag. Don't come out your bag for nobody, and for nothing. Don't come out your bag for nothing. Because you don't need to jack that up again. You jacked it up once. You don't need to jack it up again. And that brings me to my bit of advice for this week as we're heading into the weekend on this Friday morning, Eastern time. And I guess at any point that you listen to this podcast, because it will be up, it's not a show where at 6 a.m. If you're not catching it, it's going to be gone. So for whoever is listening, my advice this week from some things that I went through and some things that I kind of witnessed this week. You cannot be true to a self that you do not know. We some of us know the proverb, the quote, know thyself. No, to thine own self be true. 98 Degrees, Stevie Wonder. I think it's Mulan. True to your heart, and just be true to your heart. Not to tear apart. That was lit. Baby, shower you with my love. Open your eyes. Your heart can tell you no lies. Which isn't true. The heart is deceitful above all things. Let me just dispel that real quick. But the sentiment that you should be true to yourself. You should always seek to be truthful with yourself, and the actions that you take be the most accurate representation of how you feel and where you feel that you should be, where you understand where your life is headed and where it should be, and you take those steps. The truest, most truthful steps that you can take, the most truthful sentiments that you can feel, that you're not lying to yourself about anything in this world, and you're engaging with reality in the truest way that you possibly can. Now, how can you be true to yourself if you decide to live obliviously and you do not take steps to know who you are and understand who you are? Feel me? You've got to know yourself. And of course, you're not going to be the same person, right, as you are now. Or let's backtrack. Who you are now is going to change. So in the next 6 months, you're going to be a different person. Your likes may shift. Your wants may shift. Your desires may shift. Your sentiments may shift. Your core values are the things that are not very easily changed. So you're going to be different. And you owe it to yourself to make sure that you know who you are, that you take the time. I mean, call it self-care, call it self-help, whatever it is, whether it's going to a therapist, whether it's just sitting down with your relatives and kind of understanding what their life is and what's sort of on your family name and what runs in your family, what runs in your blood. Even if it's just that, do it so that you can understand who you are in this world. So that you can understand why you react a certain way. Why are your habits the way that they are? You'd be surprised. Be surprised. The things that you get from your parents that you don't even realize, that are subconscious, just because you were exposed to them. For better and for worse. The good and the bad. You're just exposed to them and you absorb it. And then you don't know, you wake up one day and are like, why am I being so weird? Why am I being so crabby? When someone says this, why am I afraid of this thing? I shouldn't be afraid of this, or I shouldn't be afraid of that. Knowing yourself. Being the most complete version of who you are as you move forward in time. Because you can't be true to a self that you don't know. I can't live my truth if I don't understand who I am, if I don't know me. If I'm in flux, or like I said, living obliviously, that when I say that, I mean, I'm in this life, in this form, in this reality, but I'm not connecting to anything that's deeper than what I can accrue for myself and happiness and sadness. I'm not trying to connect with the complexities of myself. So if I'm living obliviously, I'll lean on things that I can control. I'll lean on, oh, well, I have a good job. Oh, well, I have a nice car. So I'm good. I must be fine. I must be doing okay because I have these things, or I'm doing these things, or I feel like I'm responsible enough, But meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're not connecting with the deepest inner parts of yourself. You're not connecting. You don't know your past. You don't know your bloodline. You don't know your relatives. You don't really know who your parents are. They're just your parents, and they love me. But who are you as a person, Dad? Who are you as a person, Mom? Who are you as a person, Grandma? Who are you as a person, Grandpa? What was life like then? What decisions did you make? Why did you make those decisions? How did you do this? How did you do that? How did this happen? You're not connecting with those things. If you live obliviously, you can be successful and still be empty because you did not know yourself. You can be successful and still not be content or even happy with where you're at because you did not take the time to connect with yourself in that way and know who you are and what your desires are, what your wants are, what your needs are. So you're busy just tacking things onto yourself without knowing what things need to be tacked onto you for you to feel fulfilled in your life. So understand my advice to you. Something to keep in mind. You cannot be true to a self that you do not know. Know yourself. Take the time to analyze. Take the time to sit back and Sherlock why you feel the way you feel. Take the time to trace your habits. Understand yourself. It will complete you. It will complete you. You won't have a void when you get rich. Why do you think so many wealthy people just kill themselves? Like, you have all of this wealth. You should want for nothing. Why would you choose to end your life at this point? Why would you choose to end your life at all? And I'm not saying that I claim to know everyone's circumstances and everyone's mental state. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. Gave a slight example, but I don't really know everyone's mental state and why people do what they do. People are people. They do things. But be true to yourself. And to be truest to yourself, you have to know. You have to know yourself. Take the time. Take the time. You'll see what you need. See what your desires are. See where there are holes in your life and in your spirit, and seek to patch them up. To fill them in. I want to say fill them in, but you want to patch them up. You want to, if there's holes there, you want to heal. You want to patch them up, because you can put things in those holes that don't belong there. So please don't. And I know it sounds weird, nasty mind. Get out of there. But yeah, you cannot be true to a self that you do not know. Know yourself so that you can be true to yourself. You can move in truth. And my recommendation for this week is Rhythm and Flow. Please go watch it. It is fire. The critics are saying it's fire. Variety saying it's fire. The industry saying it's fire. It's on Netflix. Go see it. Cardi B, T.I., Chance the Rapper. It's like American Idol, but fire. Like, cool, like down. It's like American Idol without all of the weird sort of commercialization, I guess, for lack of a better term. I mean, this is commercial too because it's Netflix and things, but this feels very personal. They really went in personal. So it's akin to The Voice in how they do their, because it's still reality TV. So in how they do their vignettes on the contestants, it's similar in that way, but it's fire because it's on Netflix. They could curse, they could say whatever they want to say. It's fire. Seeing these people, they've got their stories, and you got to have the stories to make it interesting. But people come through, do their thing. They get judged. Cardi's there, gives the color commentary. Chance the Rapper is like the real cool, chill dude. T.I. is, Grand Hustle, Rubber Band Man. Wild as the Taliban. You feel me? 50 large in the other hand. Yeah, I know T.I. I listen to T.I. too. I've been listening to T.I. for a minute. But, yeah, watch it. It was so entertaining. So entertaining. I'm not even finished watching the whole thing. It's fire. Super fire. I saw the first episode. I'm hooked. And I got how do you say, fatigue with competition shows. I used to watch American Idol. I saw like the first 3 seasons of American Idol, and I liked it. And then I got fatigue, and I was done. I'm like, no. America, we don't need America to be voting. Sorry. And then The Voice came out, and then I liked that. And this is a new format. And then I got fatigued. I was like, oh, okay. I roll. And then the other one, what is it, The 4 or something like that? Was kind of cool, but it was eye roll too. This is cool. This is like for the culture, They had special guests. That first episode, we got to see Nipsey Hussle. T.I., said this was one of the last times he talked to him. And Snoop Dogg comes through as a special guest. I can't wait to see the New York episode. So what they did was that they're going to they started in LA, and they're going to each of their cities to find hot rappers, like unsigned diamonds in the rough. And I can't wait to see the New York episode. I cannot wait. It's going to be fire. I want to see represent. But watch it. If you like hip hop culture, if you like I keep wanting to say award shows. This is not the Grammys. This is not the Tonys. If you like singing competition shows or like competition shows and you like reality TV, watch it. It's fire. If you're into hip hop culture, it's fire. If you like Chance, it's fire. If you like T.I., it's fire. If you like Cardi, it's fire. Please watch it. Please. It's pretty great. I didn't think I was gonna like it, and then I saw it, and I'm like, yes, please. Let's please do this. So that's my rec for the week. I'm pretty much done here. We've been talking for a long time. Nah, it's all right. I can talk for ages. I could talk to y'all for forever. There's so much to just break down. So much commentary to be made. But it's time for me to get out of here. Once again, at Social Millennial Pod on Facebook and Instagram, the Social Millennial Podcast at gmail.com. We're also on YouTube. We do not have a URL for YouTube. We need subscribers. Subscribe. We're going to be filming the podcast too for YouTube. That's going to come not super fast, but it's coming. The groundwork is being laid for that to happen. So get on the that subscriber list fast. Get on now, because we're going to have, merch giveaways. We're going to have other kinds of just content that we're going to be putting out on YouTube. So get on there and on Instagram, we'll chop it up, throw it on Instagram too. So subscribe, like, rate. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. You can find us. the Social Millennial Podcast. Give us the stars, give us the commentary, so that we can keep doing what we can keep doing, and so that we can deliver the content and the entertainment that y'all love. All right, peace.
Reporting District, Division Plus Master B.